The magic of movie stars, mega movie stars, is something that you can rarely describe in words, but you can always experience. I am so privileged to experience this magic of two incredible, phenomenal forces of nature. Now, he is a legacy movie star, a global phenomenon, but at its heart, a bona fide artist, a terrific actor. She puts the act in actor and has wowed critics and audiences across the world, and literally with each performance, and since she walked the highway of Hindi cinema, has won so many hearts. I am privileged to introduce to you Alia Bhat and Junior NTR in conversation with me. All right. Okay, wow. So we have...
Just 1 second, we will give a little backstory, because a minute ago you're like, okay, I don't know how I'm going to start this, I don't know what I'm going to say, and then now you've started. You've given a speech, right?
But you don't know I'm a talk show host and this is what I do for a living.
I do, but you just didn't know what to say, and
no,
suddenly
but
it came.
my thoughts run and then I say things.
It's too good.
That's absolutely...
That's difficult.
It's too good.
Yeah, but listen, I still don't have the talent that both of you have. First, let's just address that we have such deep commonality. But there's one part that I'm going to ask as a quick question, that there's one other aspect that we all have in common that we will chat about later. Firstly, RRR happened. And I still remember the moment when Alia signed that film, how happy I was that she was working with Rajamouli sir. Like, I was like, oh my God, like this is like the biggest moment ever. Then both of you collaborated on that film. I had the privilege of collaborating with you on Devara and presenting the film to the Hindi audience, which is so amazing, because my journey started with Rajamouli sir, way back with Bahubali 1. I, of course, introduced Alia to the movies. So there is Rajamouli sir and there is Devara, there's Jigra coming up, and then there's me sitting right in the middle of it all. I really feel like there is such amazement. But there is one other commonality that you have with Alia. Do you know what that is? You know what that is?
No.
He will eternally be the student number one, and you will always be student of the year.
That's true. Yeah,
That's
we
lovely.
discussed this.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember during RRR promotions also we discussed this.
So I just thought of
nice.
it. I just thought of it, and I was like, wow, there's something else that we have in common. We have the student factor in common. Tarak, thank you so much for being in conversation
My
with
pleasure,
us.
sir.
Tell me, what did you feel like when you first met Alia on the sets of RRR? What was that experience?
Well, see, it was the first time I'm actually, this whole big crossover.
Yeah.
का जो भूत चढ़ गया ना सर हमें.
हाँ.
It started there.
Yeah.
I've always admired her work and said it, and I'll say it again, that she's one of the finest actors we have, hands down. And I was telling her the moment I walked in, I was like, I don't know when I saw Jigra's trailer, was it the song, hearing the song, was I tearing up for that? Or was it just looking at Alia's performance? And the first few seconds, she could just take me away from where I am into the world of Jigra. And it's not simple, it's not easy, for somebody to just take the audience away from, their preliminary source and take them into this beautiful world of acting.
Yeah.
It's I don't know. I've always said that you can never train somebody to act. It just comes. And I think she's one of those phenomenal actors we have. The moment I saw her at the sets of RRR, so for me it was not Alia Bhat from the North film industry, but for me it was one of my favorite actors I'm looking at. And I think we just started off from there, and I think we share a wonderful bond today. I can't imagine any other friend in Bombay other than Alia.
Wow.
And of course, after Alia came Ranbir.
Yeah.
So it was not Ranbir and me weren't friends. It was me and Alia first, and then Ranbir followed. So yeah, so it's amazing.
Wow, that's amazing. And Alia, I know that you must have heard so much about the mega movie stardom of Junior NTR, before you went on that set. And I remember that when you went on, we were like, when she was going to shoot for RRR, it was like, she's going, like, we have to give her a send-off. She's going into this amazing, magical world of SS Rajamouli. And I was like, so what was your takeaway when you finally faced the camera? Because before I say, I've heard all about him and how he operates on set. So Ayan Mukherjee is directing, who I must say has the privilege of directing him in War 2, has said he's like Speedy Gonzalez. He comes and makes it all happen.
Absolutely.
He's saying he just does it and it's all done, and he's brilliant and it's done, it's over. And Ayan is a ponderer, he's a thinker, he just sits and everything, he's a lot of thought. So for him, you're the opposite of his energy. What was your experience when you performed with him in RRR?
So I think even before I was I had signed on to do RRR. When the announcement of RRR came, it was just the image of Rajamouli sir, Tarak and Ramcharan together. I think that was like there was an anticipation in general for everybody. Little did I know that I would be walking onto that set one day. And of course, like you rightfully mentioned, I'd heard so much, about the way Tarak is, his stardom. So I was naturally expecting to be severely intimidated. I was like, okay, I'm going to walk on set and I'm going to forget all my lines that I've been rehearsing for 1 year.
Yeah.
And we started my first day on shoot was that big scene where we meet for the first time and where our characters don't know who each other are, and it was so it was quite like the big scene to start with. But
it was pretty intense.
It was pretty intense. Contrary to what I had imagined, he was not intimidating at all. In fact, he was really helpful, very quiet. So I was quiet. In fact, I was so shocked of how quiet that set was. Karan, the shot started, cut. It was pin drop silence, and I was like, why isn't anybody screaming and shouting? Like, what's going on? No, but it was wonderful, and ever since that, like we shot that scene for over a couple of days, and then through the days we became more and more friendly, chatting off camera, talking about the process. I was of course very nervous, but Tarak made me very comfortable, and whenever I was even a little bit fumbling or not sure, he would just naturally correct me. And of course, when Ayan saying he's Speedy Gonzalez means like the energy is buzzing. But what I love about him as an actor is that he is so unpredictable. Like, even though I couldn't understand the language, when I see it in his eyes, what he's saying it's all happening from here. And like, Rajamouli sir would give him a beat and give him some, direction or something like that. He would like, yeah. Then you can see it's bursting out of him to give what the director has asked for.
Yeah.
So I would always, like in my close-ups, like in his close-ups and my OTS, I was only observing what he was doing and what was going to come after that, because it's such a big learning experience for me as well. And then really we got very friendly, and we've had like
some great chats.
Yeah. And we had such a good time during promotion.
Remember, we all stepped out for dinner in Bombay. It felt so warm and wonderful that we had like a Devara, Brahmastra war kind of coming together. And it was like we all had dinner at this restaurant that was seating only 12, and we were 12 of us. And it just felt like everyone knew each other from way back.
No, I'm going to tell you one story. Because this also happened, since we're here, because this is Devara ka Jigra, Devara into Jigra. This is some sort of crossover love that we're sharing with
I
each
really
other.
want to know who announced the title first, Jigra or Devara?
Devara.
I think it was Devara.
Yeah. Then came in Jigra.
Then came in Jigra. I think we put on the unit. Devara already had it.
But that's actually a nice coincidence, sir. When you have an R and R.
Yeah.
Devara and Jigra sounds like each other, and then we were also coming in the same window. Who would have imagined?
Exactly.
But I'm saying this love started with Tarak very graciously coming to the Brahmastra, sort of press meet.
Yes.
In Hyderabad, and there was I remember I was fully pregnant at that time, and Tarak was like, yeah, we'll do the event, but then after that you all have to come to my house for dinner.
Yeah.
And we had such a warm evening on that terrace. I remember eating dinner and like chatting, and that was the first time that we actually discussed possible baby names in front of everybody. I remember. Then Ranbir and I were like, if it's a girl, it'll be this. If it's a boy, it'll be this. And we were all like, raising our glass to like.
So was Raha the name discussed that night?
We discussed.
Yes,
we had names picked out.
And I started praying. I wish it was Raha. I wish it was Raha. And finally,
what a
finally
beautiful name! What a beautiful name! You know what I find absolutely intriguing about movie stars. Specifically, in the brand of cinema that you have done and across decades now, is that there is a kind of fine line between always projecting movie stardom and yet giving that performance. And I think you've done that effortlessly, always, that you've not only considered one of the biggest movie stars, but also an absolutely terrific actor. Now, do you have to kind of straddle that at times, that you know that you are also an artist, you're giving your all, your heart, your emotion to that scene, but there is a certain perception of how you have to be, a larger-than-life persona that has to always penetrate through celluloid. Is there always like that tussle within you, or it's just in your DNA to just be the way you are, and then it comes out all effortlessly?
I think it's very natural, sir, for any actor. The moment you start calculating, your image versus your want, I don't think they can ever gel together.
Yeah.
Because I've seen this multiple times in my career. So I've said this many a times, that there was this point where this whole image, this whole want of fans and what they want, it was very strenuous for me as an actor. And then I can
imagine.
Yeah, I just couldn't straight. I mean, like, think straight. So that's when, Abhay happened, my first.
Yeah.
And something about that experience of being a father has made me become naive all over again. And I think for an actor, what's the most important thing is that how do you become naive? How do you disown or unknow things? Because at that moment when you have to perform, I really think that you don't need to experience it, right? You haven't ever experienced it, but how do you deliver it? For that, I think there needs to be a lot of naiveness in an actor. And that comes only when you, like, just take things off your brain. And for me, when I was, like, of course, I was struggling for Abhay to, look at me and call me, Papa, or call me Nana. So I wanted him to do that. So that urge in me somewhere just took this whole NTR ka image away from me. And I said, wow, this whole thing is just gone from my head. So I said, what if I try to incorporate it into my movies?
Right.
So that's when my journey started as an actor.
As an artist.
It's like, Kiyar, just for me, it gets very boring for some, if I have to just give this a reaction, it's just useless, it's meaningless. So I started putting my foot down and, started communicating, saying that, no, I really don't think this will work. Then, we started discussing, and then the discussion started happening. So I opened up as an artist.
Right.
That made it easier for me to understand myself more as an actor.
As an actor.
So every time I felt that, यार घर से निकल रहा हूं मैं, तो मुझे कुछ excitement factor चाहिए. क्योंकि already 2 exciting factors है, अभय and भार्गव. इनसे बड़ा exciting factor क्या हो सकता है? तो वो है मेरे movies. अगर वो excitement नहीं मिल रहा है, तो घर में बैठूंगा मैं. I'll sit at home. I don't need to work.